why don't why don't I set up my Yushin Little Magic? So this cube will not be set up because I actually want to use this for a mod. Well, not really mod, but I wanted to make these magnetic capsules. Actually, now that we're streaming, I can show this because I wasn't going to make a video on this, so I guess I'll just show it on stream. So I made these magnetic capsules. I posted a picture of it on my YouTube channel in the community page. This is not exactly the same thing, but it's the same idea. So it's very, very similar to YJ's system, where you have some magnetic capsule that you can then put a screwdriver in to rotate. And then on the other underside, you can see that it's an off-center magnet slot. So depending on which direction the slot is facing, you'll either get stronger or weaker magnets. The nice thing about the system is that if you rotate 90 degrees, you can actually take out the capsule entirely. And the reason that's useful is because this way you don't actually have to put glue on the magnets. So if you, for some reason, get N35s and you realize down the line that you actually want stronger magnets like I don't know, N42s or something, you still have that option, because then all you have to replace is this capsule part and not the base. So the base is meant to basically attach to the side of the piece. So for any edge piece that isn't already magnetized, for example, in the Yushin Little Magic, you can see that there's these huge spaces inside the edge shells. So you can just fit in one of the magnet capsule bases, and then depending on which magnets you want and what strength you want, you can just insert whatever you want. And so everything is basically replaceable, and you don't have to worry about accidentally flipping the polarity or something like that. And then the other nice thing is for the cap part, where the magnet actually sits in, you also don't put glue in there because that's just going to be flush against the plastic. So again, if you accidentally reverse the polarity in the edge pieces, you can always just pop the magnet out and flip it. So that's sort of the idea. I think it can work, but I don't think it's a particularly clever idea, which is why I'm not going to make a video about it. But anyway, it's a work in progress. So DNF37 says I should work for a cube company. The big brain move is to just create a cube company. But yeah, I did used to work with Maru, and I really enjoy working with them just because they're super chill, and you know they know the landscape. I know they don't produce as many puzzles as some of the other companies, but that doesn't mean that they're not in touch with what's going on in the community. So I really enjoy working with them. They're just really good people. Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of new cubers actually know nothing about Maru because, besides the CM3, I think the only cube they came out with was the XD, which basically bombed. So I remember when I did my unboxing for the CM3, I actually said that the CX3 was the previous cube. And I think a couple people, literally like 2 or 3, corrected me saying that it was the XD. The reason I totally forgot about the XD was because when I received a prototype for it all the way back in 2015, I actually had the pre-production version of the XD. I thought the cube was just not that good, so I figured that they had just not gone ahead and mass-produced it, but I guess I was wrong, and they actually did mass-produce it. Do I think old flagships like the Moyu Weilong, Aolong, Thunderclap, etc. will still have a place in the market if they were released today with magnets? Absolutely. I think... Unfortunately, when I moved to California, I didn't bring any of my old cubes, and I really wish I had, because I think the ZhanChi with magnets might arguably be one of the best cubes. Because back when I was using the ZhanChi, back when everyone was using the ZhanChi, that cube didn't really... I mean, that cube was already really good, so depending on how you set it up, you might never get pops anyway. So you can imagine if you don't get pops and now you have more stability from the magnets, you just have a really good cube. But yeah, I was kind of surprised when I came back to cubing to see that that was not the direction that Diane went. And even with the Guhong version 3, they totally changed the mechanism. It was no longer the same mechanism as the original Guhongs, which I thought was kind of interesting and honestly a little bit disappointing, because one of my favorite things about Diane from a long time ago was that they actually had a very unique mechanism, and now they're just the same as every other company. Literally, I get some flack for saying this sometimes, but a Gan Cube, a Volk Elite, any modern 3x3, they all look the same, right? It's all the same internal mechanism. It's not just Gan cubes doing all the same thing. It's every company is doing the exact same thing. I'll show you what I mean. Well, except for the RS3M 2020, that's actually different. Basically, they all have the same corner design, right? It's all the same thing. It's a cylindrical mechanism, and then you cut out a bunch of material from under the tile, right? So that's it. It's the same mechanism in every single cube. YJMG C3 Elite, Volk Elite, every single Gan cube, even the Mei Long, it's all the same. And I was kind of hoping that Diane would do something different with the GTS 3M, or sorry, Guhong version 3M, but they didn't. But they did do something different with the Tingyun, so that was cool. Yes, I do remember when Gan was known for the octopus core, and that cube sucked. So that was the 357, I think, right? 357 version 2 or something. But that was back when Gan was, I think, called Gans with an S at the end. And yeah, that octopus core made no sense. Of course, now looking back and seeing what they have done with the core, it does make sense what they were trying to do, right? They wanted to invert the system. So instead of having the screw go down, you basically have the screw pointing upwards, and then you have a nut. So the system mechanically made a lot of sense, but I think the implementation of it it made zero sense. The plastic was too flimsy. Anyway, I think I'm going to end the stream here. For those of you who are still watching and didn't join earlier, I was saying that in the future, I think what I will do is sometimes I'll do solves, but I think I'll actually be doing live streams for designing stuff. So I'll actually just take you through the process of how I think about different problems in cubing and how I would tackle them. And then, I'll open up SolidWorks and we can do some design stuff live. Because I feel like, I think for a lot of you, it's, maybe not as exciting as a 6-second solve, but for others, I think it'll help you sort of understand where I come from when I make the videos that I do, because a lot of times, I think when you just watch the videos that I make, you take it for face value and think that I'm just someone who likes complaining. But in fact, there's a thought process to it, and there's like an end goal to all of this madness. So anyway, just wanted to advertise that a little bit. The other thing that I'll likely do is more Q&As in the future. So a long time ago, I did a Q&A episode 1, and I think I'll respond to those comments in just a normal video, but I think moving from there, we'll do like a live stream format, because I think it just lends itself better to that. But anyway, so those are sort of 2 little announcements. Do I plan on designing another cube? So I won't show too much, but there's that. There's also this. They're different. I'm never gonna make a cube that's better than the RS3M 2020 for under $9, right? Because I don't have the infrastructure, I don't have the experience. It's just not something that I'm particularly interested in. But I think there's a lot of opportunities to design products that work for multiple cubes that no manufacturer is going to be willing to make, right? So for example, if I could make something that makes all cubes magnetic, for example, like an easy way to make all cubes magnetic, that'd be amazing. And Gan is never going to make that because they don't want someone purchasing that and putting it into a different cube, right? So these are sort of the things I'm thinking about, is sort of designing third-party adapters that work for a variety of cubes, rather than very specific niche things. So anyway, that's sort of the mindset I have for that.